Good evening, everybody. I'm Donovan Hurley, and this is Deplorable Radio. This is our debut tonight. So each week, I'm going to touch on a couple of different topics, and we'll talk for about an hour. This one here is going to be short because it's just basically I'm testing the whole thing. I'm trying an interesting thing here. I'm going to be coming to you from within a game called Second Life. This is an avatar, obviously, it's not me. I'm doing that for a couple of different reasons. One, I'm just playing around with the game, and two, uh, the town that I live in is super liberal, so I try to keep my personal identity private. So, we're going to be talking conservative politics, and I want it to be known from the beginning that I am not politically correct. By any stretch of the imagination, I am not politically correct. So, finally, we've come to the end of the lead from behind, seemingly pro-Muslim Brotherhood Obama administration. 8 years. 8 years ago, he promised us change we can believe in. That was his campaign slogan, change we can believe in. And we're going to usher in now a completely new, seemingly fight everything Trump administration. In the early afternoon of January 20th, 2017, Donald J. Trump will be sworn in as the 45th President of the United States. Obama didn't want to fight anything except for the Republicans for the last 8 years. And then only with closed-door meetings, midnight executive orders, passive-aggressive speeches, and illegal activities. Now, I have to say they're illegal activities because virtually every single department of the executive branch was embroiled in scandals during the past 8 years. Now, if the Justice Department was nonpartisan as they're supposed to be, many of these scandals would have been considered felonies. Trump, on the other hand, seems to want to fight everything, which is not good either. How anybody who has been in business as long as he is and is this master negotiator can have, by all accounts, the thinnest skin in human record is sort of a scary thing. And what I mean by that is this. We've already seen that the left can easily pick at him over here and distract him from what's going on over there. And this is just an example. If the press over here starts talking about, I don't know, his hair, and he gets upset about it, he's going to be fixated on tweeting and all this other stuff, not paying attention to all of a sudden the floodgates have opened on the southern borders. That's not a good thing. Now, I'm not saying that I disagree with the tweet thing. I mean, if you think about it in this respect, the tweet thing's pretty good. We have gone from Obama, who in 2007, as then Senator Obama campaigning to be president, he promised to be the most transparent administration ever. And in actuality, what we got was the least transparent administration. And here's Trump. He really is completely transparent. I mean, to the point where he's doing 140 words at a time, or 140 characters at a time transparent. He's putting everything out there, all of his thoughts, everything out there on Twitter. So, one thing I can say about Trump is he has surrounded himself with what I consider the best group of advisors and cabinet picks ever. Literally, from George Washington up to him. In my estimation, this is the most promising group of advisors if he pays attention to them. We've brought in businessmen, we've brought in absolute experts in the field. So let's see what happens on that front. In the last 8 years, we've seen the Democrats do and say some of the most outlandish, if it wasn't such serious stuff, it would be hilarious things that I've ever heard. Okay, so I remember House Majority Leader Nancy Pelosi saying about the Affordable Care Act, we have to pass it before we can see what's in it. You guys remember that? We have to pass it before we can see what's in it. First, it doesn't really sound like very sound advice to me. Would you listen to your attorney if they told you, go ahead, give them all your money, what could possibly go wrong? Right? We're supposed to, these politicians are supposed to have some common sense. So, but more to the point, that was not only a careless and ridiculous thing to say, but it's what a proctologist would say. Go ahead, we got to pass it before we can see it, in reference to, talking about a stool sample. And ironically enough, here we are with this big old pile of shit right in the middle of the kitchen table. Every time I hear Democrats say something like, as we all know, or it's been proven, by God, I know there's a story in there somewhere, because we don't all know, and it hasn't been proven for crap. Obama's been upset from day one about what the left sees as racial beliefs when it comes to him, because he's a black president. So how about like the whole birth thing, right? Whether he was born in Hawaii or he was born in Kenya. That would have died a slow death soon after it started, except for little things like Michelle going to Africa and saying, and this is a quote, when we took our trip to Africa and visited his home country in Kenya. Did she really just admit that he was from Kenya? He was born in Kenya? And then there's always the thing there about the conspiracy theories about Michelle Obama being a man, and Obama being gay and all this kind of stuff. Well, on two different occasions that I know of, Barack Obama called his wife Michael, right? I mean, this kind of stuff is just incredible. Then you bring in the birth certificate itself. I don't understand that. I mean, if there was no problem with the birth certificate, why didn't he just produce it at the beginning of this whole thing and save everybody the laughs and the conspiracy theorists, all the speculation and all this? Just bring it out there and show it. But instead, he waited 5 years. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this whole Russian hacking thing that's going on right now. This is something that's in the news right now. It's kind of interesting. So what exactly did the Russians do? How much did this affect the election process, and why did the administration act as hugely as they did? As I understand it, the present administration claims that the Russians hacked a bunch of emails that the Democrats really didn't want in the hands and minds of the voting public. They didn't release national security issues, nothing that would put our troops in harm's way, put our, I don't know, undercover CIA agents in harm's way. They didn't do any of that, right? And you would think that if they had actually hacked something, that's the first thing that they would have done. No. They simply exposed just how corrupt the Democrats really are. The Democrats and their talking heads, the mainstream media. Hell, even I was shocked at some of the stuff that came out. I mean, I've been for years talking about how twisted the Democratic Party is. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I love to say about it is I ask Democrats all the time, how would you feel if your child acted that way? If your child pulled some of those tricks, how would you feel about that? Would you be proud of them? So why in the hell do you vote for them? So let's look at the term hack. When using the word in the context of computers, it simply means to circumvent security and break into a network, computers, files, etc., usually with a malicious intent. Now, I'm assuming that the security that's circumvented here was guessing General Petraeus's password, which, in case nobody knows, in case you haven't heard, his password was password. Really? Seriously? Holy crap! This guy was in intelligence, and obviously had none. James Clapper, the director of national intelligence, who is a big time Obama supporter. He was appointed by Obama. He has many times talked about, he didn't like Trump, woo, 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 woo. All of a sudden, he's claiming that the Russians supplied WikiLeaks with all of the hacked emails. But when Sean Hannity of Fox News Network interviewed Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, just last week, Julian Assange denies emphatically that he received any of this information from the Russians or from any of their people. Clapper says that Assange is not to be trusted, yet Assange correctly stresses that his organization, WikiLeaks, has never been proven wrong in any of their releases. Over all this time, since 2010, if they release a batch of emails, there has never been an instant where they are proven wrong in their releases. Furthermore, find it interesting that the Democrats aren't even really denying any of this stuff anymore. They tried for a little while, but I guess they realized that if they denied it and it was found to be true, then they were really in trouble. Okay, so the Declassified National Intelligence Agency report, which according to the National Intelligence Agency is exactly the same, the declassified version is exactly the same as the classified version, except they don't use names and agencies and stuff like that. They're not releasing any of their sources in the declassified. But according to them, that's the only difference. Now, an interesting thing about that, interesting little side note is, why wouldn't they want to release the names of their sources? Well, that's pretty obvious. They don't want anybody to know who hacked the Russians to find out that the Russians had hacked us. Right? I mean, logic kind of goes there. If they got this big report that they can prove conclusively, which actually, even according to Clapper, this is all speculation. But if they've got all this information, then in order to get this information, somebody had to hack the Russians to get it. So we hacked the Russians to prove that they hacked us, and we're all upset that they hacked us. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm starting to get hungry because I'm starting to think about pretzels. Okay, so now I don't doubt for a second, don't get me wrong, I don't doubt for a second that the Russians hacked into our systems. I don't doubt that for 1 second. That's their friggin' job. The same as it's our job to hack into theirs. We do the same thing. Hell, we do the same thing to our allies. And so does Russia. Right? I don't know if any of you remember. I'm sure some of you remember the big thing with Angela Merkel getting all bent out of shape with Obama because she found out that the intelligence community in the United States had hacked into her personal cell phone and was listening to all her conversations, recording the numbers. And Obama had to apologize, to her for that. So why does the Obama administration suddenly have their collective panties in a bunch over the alleged Russian hacking, but we hardly heard a peep from them when the Chinese hacked huge files of sensitive personal information on hundreds of thousands of regular citizens. It's only when the DNC is hacked do they really get upset. Not when it's just the regular people. It kind of shows you just where their priority. They don't give a shit about the people. They only care about themselves. And the other thing that I'm going to kind of close on this. Why is it suddenly such a terrible thing that the Russians tried to sway the election here in the United States, but yet that's business as usual? I mean, look at Obama in 2015 is proven absolutely without a shadow of a doubt to have funneled money through taxpayer money, no less, through the State Department to actively try to influence the election in Israel. That's our ally, for Christ's sakes. But we're supposed to forget about all that. I mean, wow, what a difference a year makes, huh? A year ago it was okay, it was cool. But now it's terrible when somebody does it to us. I mean, come on, guys. Get your shit straight. Now, I'm all about uh, I'm all about watching out for the U.S., but that's kind of hypocritical if you ask me. I mean, we can be upset about it, but don't make it a number one news story, because it's not. Right? Okay, so here's what's going to happen with this show. Every week, until I start getting some followers, and then once I start getting some followers, I'm thinking about making it every day. I'm going to record one of these shows, upload it into YouTube, take it into my uh, Facebook page so it can be there. And if anybody wants to uh, comment on any of this, or if they want to uh, maybe make a suggestion, something I want to talk about, or ask a question or whatever that I can address on air, it's deplorableradio@gmail.com. In game, you can get a hold of. Now it's my name is Donovan Hurley. The name on my avatar that you can find me as search is RHawke, RHawke resident. So look me up. And anyway, that's all I've got to say, guys. And I hope that you've enjoyed the show. Please leave comments. Please tell me I suck. Tell me I'm doing okay. Just thanks for listening, guys.